I thought today we would, do a meditation on a space of emptiness, maybe a threshold between things seen on the page, um, a hole, right? Like a void there in the paper, and see if that void can be somewhere where we can let some things pass into it, open up for us, or just make an interesting figure. So as a warm up to think about it a little bit, our main drawing will start similarly with a circle-ish space. You could make your void whatever shape you'd like, but something there. It can be wiggly or straight or even, it could be square. And we'll work from that, leaving it as emptiness and finding our expression outwards to emphasize that. Maybe think of it a little like a sun, or you could have little lines come out in a very simple sense. And in the warm-up, just feeling out a little bit of how you might draw out into the space around, directly out like these lines, maybe with a little bit of an angle, which is where my thoughts were going before the exercise, to reinforce the edge of the circle, the edge of the void, by drawing along it for a moment or two and then peeling away outwards. You could even build up with a little bit of contouring. And perhaps we'll bring several of these techniques into play. But as we let the hands get situated, let the body get situated into the exercise, just exploring a couple ways to extend the void outwards, seeing how different marks look, densities, how they begin to separate the space of tone and ink or pencil from that space of paper, untouched by the marking, and over time accumulating into a higher contrast situation. But not too much more to it. As we draw, we may just add density, complexity to these radiating fields and see where you want to shape them in your own drawing. I'm going to take a couple of moments just to let my hands come to a quiet place. Set them onto the table or on the paper if you can, on the lap around you somewhere, and feel their full engagement with that surface. Let them sink a little bit heavy, become very present in the mind through the activation of all the sensors in the palms and the fingertips. Let them become a base, maybe similar to your feet, stable on the table. And just a little downward pressure from the weight of the shoulders relaxing. Let the arms sink into the base that the hands provide. Feel the slight oscillation in that pressure as you breathe in and out, lifting the rib cage, and letting it sink back down again. And start to rock the hands a little bit forward and back, rolling the fingers up to the tips as the palm lifts, rolling the fingers up to the palm as they lift, and then a little side to side. Really waking up all of those pressures, sensitive nerves in the fingers and hands. And you feel ready, give them a little wiggle, make sure they're all even, and realign, move into the larger exercise, starting with a circle somewhere, center, side, anywhere. As the exercise goes along, if you fill up space, you can always start another one. Multiple holes through the paper into some space of emptiness. But I think I'll just begin slightly centered and draw out a shape, circular or otherwise, that forms that initial separation between the territory inside and the territory outside. Perhaps spending a moment with it just to let the eyes take it in. Let yourself a moment of meditation or contemplation on that void contained in a void without. Taking a couple of breaths, with the eyes focusing to the page. And as you feel ready, we'll start to work around the circle, around the shape, whatever form it takes, and extend it to fill some of the territory around itself. I'm going to work by drawing a little along the edge and peeling out, maybe like an eyelash or a plant growing in the shade. Work from one direction for a while to feel that out, to get a sense of it with the hand and the motion of the arm. Each new mark thickening that boundary between inside and outside. And for me, a chance to feel some fun kind of expression, flicking the ink out beyond, letting it go from a strong grounding stroke to a light fading at the edges, a featheriness. Begin to pay attention to how you're drawn to that action of the drawing. Is it fast or perhaps slow? Working around the circle, lashes reaching out, perhaps bound, twisting edges, things reaching from the void, but unable to cross within it. And if you come to a full revolution of the circle, all the way around, you can start working back in the other direction, feeling sensations of drawing throughout the whole map 360, wrapping around the circle there, noticing the different motion of the hand, noticing different orientations as you go clockwise or counterclockwise. You may start to see pattern or figure in the shape on the page. From that, you may have ideas to guide it with what you imagine, what you observe. Feel free to lean into those. Anything that creates more separation between the territory outside and the territory inside. I've made my first revolution here. A full circle defined inside and outside. And I think I'll work back in the other direction, trying to keep things in a similar tempo, to kind of braid or weave them at the edge. They can cross misalign at the beginnings of a basket. Each stroke aware of its local context, the history present in the drawing before, responding in some way, a way you find in the drawing, in the expression. For me, I'm staying between the lines, working with the grain that came before, letting the fingers navigate, try to keep some orientation, but bring also a little bit of a challenge to it as they cross, press into less and less space, tightening the pressure around that void. We'll continue on this path, letting now the well-established circle take its own presence and bring our attention to the breath. We can keep working radially around in sequence, or perhaps there's enough here to begin to jump in and out where things draw the attention inward. But with each new mark, taking that breath in, and letting it out along its new path. Breathing in to find a place of interaction, and exhaling to leave that action in the space of the drawing. A trace and a history, unfurling with each cycle of breath in to fill and out to release, in a reminder of the space of the body filling up, resting at its boundaries, exhaling, softening all those edges, returning to center, oscillations, rhythms that hold us present, always there, guiding in the background, changing tempo, activity, to state of mind, in and out together, not separate actions, but becoming one with what we express on the page, one with the way we can enter that breath space with mindful intention. All a single flowing action, expanding out from that core moment. The shape with no inside, the shape of an emptiness. And as you work layer by layer, cycle by cycle of breath, of adding lines, reaching out, wrapping between, around, over top, trying to find a little play in that action. The breath setting us up, all of it whenever we need it, can also open us up to work with more fluidity, space, the flow, engagement, noticing the mind's presence, these short cycles of action, practice, becoming part of being here, the only part of being here for a moment or two, a chance to really play into that space around the emptiness, the quiet, soft center of paper. With each mark, becoming more present, opening up more. And as you work in a few minutes of quiet play and drawing, perhaps that void, that emerging hole or threshold to something on the other side, can be a space to pass things through, a circle or void of gratitude, a circle of release, finding what you may need it for. We open it up, and as you draw, noticing its brightening presence and letting it hold things for you. Maybe just the breath. Follow the tunnel and see where it leads. Continue to play with proximity and density. Perhaps new areas are opening up close within, bundles, patterns. Let the eyes reach out from that void in the center and see new things. To do that, perhaps taking a moment to pause from the drawing, closing the eyes for a few moments, for a few breaths, and when you feel ready, letting them open afresh to the page, adjust fresh to the contrast between mark and emptiness. Let them dart around and find pattern to draw into. And follow that pattern, that guidance of the visual, processing, and bring a little more enhancement, intensity, separation, or layering. Reaching out from that space in the center, reaching into that space at the center, both directions open to notice things flowing out, the light, the reflection of the page from that emptiness. Or does it hold things in, hold them there for a moment as it draws the eye deeper into the depths of the nothing? A way of making some space in any configuration or figuration that might interest you. The circle or a wobbly, a square, anything of some slow refining edge that can hold on to a little bit of territory, hold the eye both in and around. Two worlds meeting at the threshold, softened by our slow, continuous play. Insulated through the repetitions of our breath and action to provide us that opening space, soft or mindful contemplation or release, just letting things drift out or sink in to the void. And take it the last minute to bring that together in a bit of shared gratitude for the time given to yourself, the hands' ability to make these marks, to participate in this shared space of action for a continuous amount of time. Perhaps gratitude for the paper, medium that accepts our expression. Gratitude for the tools that let us explore, share, and play, to find new visual fields that then speak through to the mind. Some gratitude for imagination that emerges from that stuff around us and seems to radiate from that emptiness. Thank you for joining. Sorry about the little technical difficulties, but I hope you can take the ideas with you out to the rest of your day and enjoy a little mindfulness.